Hey, it's me again, Russ Shaw, with another dash cam session on the topic of killing the dragons under behavior modification. Behavior modification is a good thing. Not wanting to be too redundant here, but to repeat my point, behavior modification is kind of like the steps, right? It's the things that we need to do in order to gain, a new normal. Addiction is kind of the normal that we've fallen into, like a rut that we've carved out for ourselves, and then we kind of fall into that rut, and getting our wheelbarrow up out of that rut is very difficult. Creating a new sense of normal on the deep layers of this addiction, alcoholism, drug addiction, yeah, there's some stuff going on under the surface there as well, but with sexual addiction, you're getting even farther under the surface. One of the big dragons that I had to kill, and one of the things I had to see in myself, was my habit of quitting. Right? I quit stuff very easily. There's some really new information in cognitive science on this. If you want to Google it, I don't know. It's kind of cool to learn about this stuff. The amygdala is the deeper part of your brain. Now, evolutionary biologists believe this to be like the lizard brain, right? And it's where your emotions start, right? You were this aggressive animal. You're like an animal, right? It reminds me of that Duran Duran song, "Hungry Like the Wolf," explaining sexual behavior. No, some of the new information that they've found on this area of the brain, that researching cognitive behavioral therapy, being mindful of your life and your self-talk. One of the things they found out about this part of the brain is that self-talk exists there, which is interesting because lizards and birds don't have self-talk, right? Like their emotions aren't triggered by the way they talk to themselves because they don't have the cognitive ability to do that. So I thought it was really interesting that in this deep part of the brain, the way we feel can totally be moved, swayed. We're influenced by the things we say to ourselves in our self-talk, in our cognitions. Some psychologists have called it self-talk. Another cool thing that in the study of the fact that we, as creatures, we tend to get fired up about our plans, but we are procrastinators. You could call us lazy, I don't know. There's been some study in this area. This was a big part of this study on the amygdala, and us getting emotionally excited about starting a project and then not following through, right? You ever done that? You start something, you don't finish it. I've done a bunch of it. I start a bunch of these little projects, none of which I would finish throughout my life. This is part of discipline. It's part of some of the studies that have been done. Commitment in a marriage has a lot to do with this. How our impulse control, creating over time a habit of quitting. I had a habit of quitting things that I started. This was very difficult when it came to recovery, when it came to changing the way I thought about the opposite sex, when it came to changing what I let my eyes drink in and feast upon, right? Committing to a process of not letting for one thing, right? This is one of the disciplines. This is one of the steps, you could call it. Not letting my eyes drink in women who weren't my wife. not letting my imagination go into a place where they're naked, sprawled across my bed in my mind, you know, just simply snuffing out those thoughts before they catch fire and spread throughout my mind, and my heart starts to race. I may get an erection, right? I'm starting to let my mind go to places that I know are going to go bad. Being able to create the discipline over time of being mindful of what my thought life is doing, what my eyes are drinking in, and not quitting on that. It's going to take time. It took time for me to do that. It took a couple of years for me to get some of my self-control under control, because I had such a habit of quitting. My attitude towards God, towards my Creator, I just felt like I was dirty, like God hated me, like God was, you know, judged me, like I'm this horrible person who does these horrible things to God's daughters, right? I deserve hell, you know, I can't seem to change this on my own. First of all, that's falling under grace. Part of your relationship with God is that we are saved by grace. That it's not works that saves us, so that no man can boast, right? That's Ephesians, the book of Ephesians. I believe it's Ephesians 2, where the Apostle Paul talks about that. It gets into detail about the fact that if you could, you know, do it by your own behavior, then Christ died for nothing. The dragon of the quit habit. It's killing the dragon of the quit habit. I got more to say on this later, but be mindful of your ability to, your habit of quitting.